Good Thursday evening, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We are back for live severe weather coverage covering tomorrow's intense tornado outbreak. Thanks, everybody, for joining me here this evening. Again, if you would please hit that thumbs up button on the way in. Definitely would be much appreciated. The more thumbs up we get, the more people who join. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button as well down below, and the notification bell so you get more live streams, videos, and all that, all the whole 9 yards moving forward. And also, if you would, you can follow me on Twitter at hweather420. That is on the screen or in the description below. So, guys, bottom line up front, tomorrow is going to be a particularly dangerous day across portions of the lower Midwest all the way down to the Mid-South. So, definitely talking about a serious situation unfolding. Overnight last night here this morning, the Storm Prediction Center actually highlighted two areas of greatest concern for significant severe weather that could be rather intense tomorrow. One up here across portions of eastern Iowa, western and northwestern Illinois, into extreme northeastern Missouri. That's a moderate risk, a level 4 or 5. And then farther south here, this includes much of northeastern portions of Arkansas, extreme southeastern Missouri, far western Kentucky and Tennessee, and extreme northwestern Mississippi as well, in that level 4 or 5, a moderate risk in the red shaded color. But as I zoom out, you see the orange shade of color still there. We have a very large enhanced risk zone in the orange. That's still a level 3 of 5. So we really still have to take it seriously anywhere from central Iowa all the way down into southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, middle Tennessee, central Kentucky, western Indiana, all the way up into southern and southwestern portions of Wisconsin. So a very large area that is under the threat here for severe weather going into Friday. So let's break down the severe weather risk for you guys and answer a lot of your questions out there that you do have about if you're in the risk or not. And then we'll kind of go over the setup, the timing of the severe weather, and all of that moving forward. First, we're going to look at the tornado risk because this is pretty significant. Earlier on, the Storm Prediction Center had just a 10% hatched area for tornadoes up here in eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, and northeast Missouri. They have since increased it to a 15% hatched risk for significant tornadoes. And we're talking about tornadoes that are EF2 strength or larger. So that is something to watch out for. So anywhere up here in the yellow or red shaded color with these dashed lines, that's where the Storm Prediction Center thinks there could be a likelihood, not just a possibility, but a likelihood of some strong long track tornadoes. Those would be the EF2 or stronger tornadoes, and that covers the Waterloo area in Iowa, just outside of Des Moines on the eastern side of Des Moines there, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Muscatine, getting down into the Keokuk, Iowa region, Burlington, Iowa, Macomb, all the way south to Springfield, Peoria, Princeton, Illinois, Rockford, getting up towards Rockford there, Freeport, Dubuque, Iowa, and then all the way up into southwest Wisconsin. So we have a large zone where we are watching for some significant tornadoes. Farther to the south, we have a secondary area for a 10 and 15% shading. Again, these EF2 or stronger tornadoes, the long track ones, could be here across portions of northeastern Arkansas, southeast Missouri, northern Mississippi, northwest Alabama, into middle and western Tennessee. So we're talking about you in Jonesboro, Arkansas, getting down closer to the Little Rock region, Memphis, Tennessee, right in the middle of that, Jackson, Tennessee, Clarksville, Tennessee, Paducah, Kentucky, all the way south into the Tupelo region, Greenville, Mississippi, and then just north and west of the Huntsville and Birmingham, Tuscaloosa region into far northwestern Alabama. Those are the areas at highest risk for potentially a few strong long track tornadoes. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that if all the right ingredients come together here tomorrow and any one of these areas that I just mentioned, with the yellow or red shaded color with the dashed lines, that we could have a long tracked violent tornado, which would be EF3 to EF5 strength. That is definitely on the table as we go through tomorrow. So this is why we have to be vigilant, have multiple ways to receive warnings here. Weather radio, your smartphone, tablet, laptop, anything here, the TV, your local National Weather Services, anything that you can have to be alerted to tornado warnings, active severe thunderstorm warnings, watches here throughout the day would be very helpful as we move forward. But even outside of those areas, you see these green and even darker brown shaded colors. This entire area highlighted lit up across the lower Midwest, the western Ohio Valley, the Missouri Valley, all the way south to the Arklatex regions in the deep south here. This is the entirety of the area at risk for tornadoes. So it's all the way down here, even into northeast Texas, northern Louisiana, eastern Tennessee, eastern portions there of Kentucky, western Ohio, eastern portions of Indiana, southwestern lower Michigan, and then even getting up toward the Madison, Milwaukee regions and towards southern and southeastern Wisconsin. So this is a pretty serious situation we're watching for with the tornadoes. Now we switch over to the wind threat. This is also going to be rather significant going through the day on Friday as well. A rare 45% hatch risk for wind up here in toward eastern Iowa, northwest and western Illinois, and also extreme northeastern Missouri. This does include Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, down I-80 there toward Davenport, Maquoketa, Iowa, Dubuque, Iowa there, towards portions of Galena, Illinois, and then getting farther south, so Muscatine, Keokuk, Burlington, Iowa, all you guys, the Tipton area, back toward DeWitt, you guys could be seeing some extremely strong winds anywhere in this hatched risk, even in the 30% risk here in the red. We could be easily talking about 80 mile per hour winds or stronger. We could locally see winds up to 90 miles per hour as we go through the afternoon and evening tomorrow, anywhere in this area I am circling. So definitely a possibility of that. And this area could expand just a little bit, potentially farther east towards Chicago. That's definitely a possibility. With the latest models and model guidance that I have been looking at this afternoon. We'll get into that, the meat and potatoes about that here in just a moment. But that's an area of highest concern for the real strong winds. So 70 to 90 mile per hour winds is a real threat up here. So anywhere up in this area, winds at least of 70 miles per hour is a very big concern. Now, just to the south, we have another area, a lower threat, but still a 30% hatch risk for 75 or 70 mile per hour winds or stronger down here and towards the Jonesboro area, just east of Little Rock, so Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Clarksville, Tennessee, the Paducah, Kentucky area, getting farther south into, say, Tupelo, Mississippi, the Greenville area down here, and toward maybe Florence, Alabama. Some of those areas will be at high risk, again, for another chance for 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Some of these wind gusts could be up and over 80 or 90 miles per hour at times as well. So this is an area, those are the two areas to watch as we go through the day tomorrow. Obviously, the strongest, most intense storms with the winds will likely be up here into eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, into northeast Missouri. And again, there is some chance for that to spread a little farther towards the east. And then the final threat is hail. Again, this is another significant risk farther up to the north. So these areas into eastern Iowa are likely going to get hit the hardest out of this whole system, it looks like, with all three hazards on the table. So from Waterloo, Dubuque, Iowa, Elkader, Iowa, down through Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Freeport, Illinois, getting in toward the Sterling Rock Falls region, Clinton, Iowa, down through portions of Macomb, Keokuk, getting into the Muscatine regions, DeWitt, Tipton, all those areas in play there into southeast Iowa, the Ottumwa region. We could be seeing some 2-inch or larger type of hailstones through our Friday. We could be seeing some hen egg, some tennis ball, who knows, maybe even some baseball size hail up here as we go through that time frame. So that in itself could do a lot of damage to roof, siding, trees, cars out there. So definitely probably pretty nervous if you're a car dealership up in this area as we go through that Friday time frame. But in general, there's a large wind threat, there's a large hail threat, and there's also a very large zone of tornadoes. So overall, this is a big risk here, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite some time all across the middle of the country through the day on Friday. So does anybody, I'm going to put the day 2 risk up again for you guys. This is the categorical outlook. Does anybody have any questions in the live stream on where they are relative to how bad the severe weather will be? Put your questions down in the live stream. I will answer as many questions as I possibly can. And then after that here, we'll do that for a little bit. And then I will get on and talk about the timing of the storms and when you can expect the storms to arrive at your community or your area moving forward. So Brian Kelly says, I live in southern Indiana. So just for an example, southern Indiana. So if you live down here into, say, Indianapolis, Bloomington, the Columbus region, even down here toward maybe even Evansville, you're in the level 3 of 5 down here. So numerous severe thunderstorms are likely across Evansville as we go through that time frame. Again, all hazards are on the table. Tornadoes, also some damaging straight line winds, probably your biggest threat down here into Evansville. And then we're going to see the threat for hail as well. So, but by far the biggest threat in Evansville to Bloomington, Columbus, and Indianapolis will be damaging winds, followed by isolated tornadoes, and then large hail after that. So those are the areas in southern Indiana that have to be watched. But right now for Indianapolis, Bloomington, Columbus, the Greenwood area of Richmond, Indiana, you guys are all in that level 2 of 5. That's a slight risk in the yellow shaded color as of now. All right, so I'm getting some questions in here about your area. Southwest Illinois here near St. Louis. Yes, St. Louis, you guys are under the orange. That's a level 3 of 5. I would expect damaging straight line winds for St. Louis, probably 60, 70 miles per hour, a good bet, would be your main risk. However, a few tornadoes are definitely possible in the St. Louis metro area, and I would also look out for some large hail that could be over quarter size, okay? So those are your risks. So damaging straight line winds, 60 to 70 miles an hour, followed by tornadoes, and then the large hail after that could be over quarter size. All right, so let's see. We got some more questions coming in. How is Dubuque, Iowa looking? Jeff says. Yeah, Jeff, you are in a pretty dangerous situation up here into Dubuque. This could be a particularly dangerous situation Friday afternoon and evening. So, again, be glued to the weather up here in the Dubuque, Iowa area. You are actually within the northern extent of this moderate risk here, of rare level 4 or 5. So, you are in that extreme 15% risk for strong tornadoes. We could even have a threat for a violent long track tornado, including Dubuque, which would be EF3 or stronger potentially. We also could be seeing some 80 to even 90 mile per hour wind gusts in that area, as well as the golf ball size hail or larger. So we could have hail as big as baseballs up here into the Dubuque area as we go through Friday. So want to be on high alert if you live in Dubuque for sure. Robert says, Jackson, Tennessee, is it supposed to be worse in the south than the north? Well, equally. We have two moderate risk areas, so there's going to be kind of more of a bimodal type of severe weather threat. And what I mean by that is there's going to be more of a wind and a tornado threat combined up here to the north, and then more of a tornado threat with then transitioning to a wind threat as it pushes into Tennessee later on. Okay, and this all is going to be pushing farther to the east through the evening and into the overnight hours. But you said for Jackson, Tennessee, right now, Jackson, Tennessee, you're right on the border there between a level 3 of 5, which is an enhanced risk, and a level 4 of 5, a moderate. So I would just consider you a moderate risk there in Jackson. Again, this could expand with the Storm Prediction Center's morning update. But right now, it does look like you have a great chance, and I'll go over to the tornado threat for Jackson real quick. You have a decent shot at a 15% chance of, in a 25, 50 mile radius there, of a long track, potentially violent tornado tomorrow. You have a chance for some damaging straight line winds over 70 miles per hour, as well as some large hail. So you are in a pretty dangerous situation in Jackson, Tennessee as well. So again, have multiple ways to get warnings down in these areas. Again, St. Louis, like I mentioned earlier, St. Louis, yep, Mary, you are damaging winds is going to be the most prevalent risk for St. Louis, 60 to 70 miles per hour, and then followed by a few tornadoes possible, which could be up to around EF2 strength or so. And then we also could be seeing some large hail over quarter size in St. Louis. Thank you so much for Amy for the $2 donation, just showing support. Thank you so much for your support. Definitely much appreciated. You did not have to do that. Everybody give Amy a nice round of applause in the chat. Definitely much appreciated. And again, guys, if you guys are just tuning in, we're going over tornado outbreak coverage. We'll be going over the timing of the storms, the setup, any of your questions you have about this severe weather threat here this evening. And again, ask me anything related to the weather. I'll be open to answering questions throughout the evening here. That's why I'm here. But again, thank you so much, Amy, for your $2 donation. That is definitely very generous. Much appreciated. We do have a poll question as well, guys. Are you in the risk for severe weather tomorrow? We have 118 votes, so vote in the poll. Again, hit that the like button, the thumbs up button down below the live stream if you're just tuning in, and consider hitting that subscribe button. I will have a new weather forecast video tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., okay, covering this risk for the entire United States. Okay, so we'll be having that tomorrow morning. I have today's weather forecast video down below in the description. I have a spring forecast 2023 down there. I have the educational video about derechos. You can also follow me on Twitter. That's in the description below or on the screen at hweather420. Definitely much appreciated. Just wanted to get that information out to you guys. All right, so yeah, St. Louis, widespread damaging winds, a few tornadoes, and quarter-size hail are larger there. What time are the storms going to hit in Watseka, Illinois? Frank, stick around. I'll be going over the timing of the storms here in just a moment, but in general, afternoon and evening would be the most severe for the storms there. But I will be going over the specific timing in just a few minutes if you would stick around there. Connor, I feel like the South and normal St. Louis is 50-50. We get, yeah, there's a decent chance in the St. Louis region. Again, we've had a lot of focus here in St. Louis in the past few minutes. Again, damaging straight line winds is the most concerning for St. Louis, followed by the chance of a couple of isolated tornadoes. Probably not any strong tornadoes in St. Louis, but definitely a chance for a tornado or two, and then some large hail over quarter size. Definitely possible. Proud Southern Girl says Northeast Alabama. Northeast Alabama right now, if you live in, say, the Huntsville region, you're right on the line between a slight risk at level 2 of 5 or that enhanced risk, level 3 of 5. So it is a pretty decent threat. Scattered to numerous severe storms down in the Huntsville region. If you get down to like the Gadsden area, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, the Hoover area, you're in that level 2 of 5 or getting very close to actually the level 1 of 5 in some of these areas. So a lower end threat for severe storms. The storms will be weakening as they push towards the portions of northeastern Alabama. But still, we could be talking about widespread damaging winds, large hail, and a couple tornadoes this far east as well. So do want to be on high alert. Probably a later evening, early morning type of time frame. So probably after midnight mostly for northeastern Alabama. Again, we will be timing these storms out just in a little bit here. So stick around for that as well. All right, I got a lot of questions coming in, guys, so let me get through these here as quickly as I can. How about Georgia? Georgia, you guys are not in a severe risk unless you're in far northwest Georgia. So if you're northwest of the Atlanta metro area toward the Rome area or on up to I-75 toward Chattanooga, getting out of Georgia there's a lower end slight to marginal risk, level 1 and 2 of 5 on there. So the storms will be weakening as they move into northern Georgia, and that will be early Saturday morning for general timing on that. I live in western West Virginia. West Virginia, you guys are not really in a big risk for severe weather. Just west of Charleston, West Virginia, toward the Huntington region, you're actually in just west of I-77. You're in that level 1 of 5 marginal risk again as well, just like Georgia. These storms will be weakening as they push into your area as well. This will be early Saturday morning for the timing of those storms into western West Virginia. Traveling from St. Louis to Janesville, Wisconsin tomorrow. Definitely serious situation. So if you're going from St. Louis to Janesville, you're in the heart of that enhanced and very close to that moderate risk. You definitely want to be on high alert if you're traveling from St. Louis to Janesville, Wisconsin tomorrow. Up I-39 there into Illinois, definitely going to be a very dangerous go of it, especially afternoon and evening. So if you can, try to hold off on traveling from St. Louis to Janesville unless you're doing it during the morning hours. If you're traveling from St. Louis to Janesville, Wisconsin in the afternoon or evening, I would highly recommend you to switch your plans around and change your plans, because this is going to be a very high impact event up here across northern Illinois and portions of Iowa, central Illinois, and southern Wisconsin, okay? So definitely change your plans around if you can. How is the Nashville metro area looking right now? In Nashville, down here, you guys are in that level 3 of 5. You guys are in the enhanced risk for severe weather in Nashville. That does include Nashville downtown area, Franklin, Tennessee, Clarksville, Dixon, Tennessee, Mount Pleasant, Lewisburg. All you guys are in that level 3 of 5 down in this area. As you go east of Nashville, though, towards, down I-40 toward Cookville, Crossville area, toward those areas there into eastern Tennessee, toward the Cumberland Plateau, you're going to drop off on the severe risk to a level 2 of 5, and then eventually toward Knoxville, Tennessee, to a level 1 out of 5, the dark green. So the storms will be weakening as they push out of Nashville slowly into eastern Tennessee there. All right. I live in Scipio, Indiana, which is in Jennings County. Much of Indiana, you're going to see a severe weather risk. Basically, the entire state of Indiana is in at least a level 2 of 5, a slight risk in the westernmost parts of Indiana here. So from Gary, Indiana, down through the Lafayette region, Terre Haute, and then all the way down to Evansville, Indiana, there, west of Indianapolis, you are under that level 3 of 5. That in the orange, that's an enhanced risk. So a pretty serious threat for damaging winds over 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour there. Some quarter to golf ball size hail possible, and even some tornadoes could spin up, especially into western Indiana. So definitely watch out there. How about Rock Falls, Illinois, the Sauk Valley region up there, very close to my neck of the woods. You guys are in that level 4 of 5, that moderate risk, very serious, potentially particularly dangerous situation unfolding into Rock Falls, Sterling Rock Falls area over here toward potentially Dixon, on up toward Freeport, Dubuque, Clinton, Davenport. All you guys into northwestern Illinois need to be on very high alert tomorrow. Stay on your toes if you live there. Illinois Route 26 there, I-88, all you guys, Highway 30, you want to be on high alert up there for Rock Falls, Illinois. We could be seeing strong, potentially violent long track tornadoes tomorrow. EF2 or stronger. We could be seeing 70 to 90 mile per hour straight line winds. So even if you don't have a tornado threat up here, there is a big risk for extremely destructive winds here along the line of the storms there. And these are going to be moving so quick. So when you got storms moving 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, you know you're going to be seeing at least that with the wind gusts with these storms, and they could be upwards of 80, 90 miles an hour. And also the large hail threat. We could be seeing up to baseball size hail potentially in this area there, including Rock Falls, Illinois, going in towards that that Friday afternoon and evening time frame. So do watch out there. Springfield, Missouri, farther south here into central and southern Illinois, or actually Missouri, rather, not Illinois. Springfield, Missouri, you are actually in that level 2 of 5. The storms will initiate earlier in the day, so we're talking late morning, early afternoon for you. These storms could be severe, still packing a punch. There is still a tornado threat down into Springfield, so you definitely want to be on high alert here as well. I think the highest chance for more widespread severe weather will be east of Springfield, so from Columbia to Jefferson City, and then especially down here into the Boot Hill of Missouri, so Cape Girardeau down here, the Lake Ozark region, you guys are in that higher chance for severe weather and possibly a few more spin-up tornadoes. That will be mainly in those areas in eastern Missouri, in the foothill there of Missouri, or the Boot Hill, toward Cape Girardeau, St. Louis, O'Fallon, those areas. Probably late afternoon and evening for you for the timing of those storms. But we'll go over the timing here in just a few minutes for you guys. Todd Thomas here from Dubuque, Iowa. What time do you think? What time you thinking tomorrow for the? I'm thinking about there will be storms on and off throughout the day. There could be 2 rounds. I think earlier on in the day there could be elevated hail type of storms we have to watch out for early in the afternoon. Some supercells developing. Those will kind of develop in an arc, kind of like this, and they'll move to the northeast. That's along a warm frontal boundary, and then we have the cold front sitting back here to the west. That will push farther to the east. That will include Dubuque. So I think anytime after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, especially watching central Iowa, and as those storms blow up, they'll kind of move east-northeast, and they could pack a punch. And again, Dubuque, you are in that particularly dangerous situation, very precarious situation potentially in Dubuque there, where we could be talking about strong, violent long-track tornadoes over EF2 strength potentially. We could be seeing widespread 70 to 90 mile per hour straight line winds, which is equivalent to about an EF1 tornado in a more widespread zone there, and even some large, very large, giant hail. We could be seeing up to baseball size hail with the strongest updrafts and strongest storms here in Dubuque, Iowa, as we go, and just really all along the Mississippi River, from Dubuque down to Clinton, down to Davenport, Muscatine, Burlington, Iowa, Keokuk down here, and then western Illinois to Macomb, Galesburg. All you guys are in that threat for very large hail, very strong, possibly even large tornadoes, and then we could be seeing some widespread damaging winds upwards of 80 miles per hour here. All right. Jackson, Tennessee is the moderate some yeah, you're basically, I would consider Jackson, Tennessee in that moderate risk, Robert. Absolutely. I live in Chicago. Am I going to get swept up? I can't forecast for an EF4 or 5 tornado. I just think the environment is ripe for tornadoes that could get that large tomorrow. Whether or not that occurs in any one location is very low, rather. But I do think there is a chance that there could be some long track, strong, possibly violent tornadoes of that magnitude tomorrow. Whether or not they happen, it remains to be seen. But that's why we warn you ahead of this system of several days ahead of time. You know, the Storm Prediction Center had a large enhanced risk out all the way 5 days ahead of time. So we should already have our severe weather plans set in stone. And again, that's another thing. If you guys don't have severe weather plans set in stone yet, do that tonight, do that early tomorrow morning before later in the day, because you want to know where to go whenever a severe thunderstorm warning, especially even a tornado warning, strikes. Treat every tornado warning tomorrow like it is actually going to happen, okay? Every single tornado warning tomorrow could have strong long track tornadoes on them. It very well could be like that, because storms are going to be moving very fast. The tornadoes will likely be rain wrapped, so you definitely won't be able to see the tornadoes because of the high precipitation storms, and it's going to be a dangerous situation. So just continue to watch that. And the Storm Prediction Center's new outlook will come out tomorrow morning at 1 a.m., so I will be updating you on my video tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., so another reason to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you get my video tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Press the thumbs up. We're just one like shy away from 100, so definitely appreciate it. Is there any severe thunderstorm heading to Ohio for, I think once the storms reach Ohio, so like western Ohio, they'll be on a weakening trend, but we still could be seeing it, some decent winds, 60, maybe 70 mile per hour winds still here in the western portions of Ohio, eastern Indiana. So from Fort Wayne down to say like Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, all those areas, Toledo, you still could be seeing some decent winds with these storms, but they will be coming in overnight. So probably after midnight for you, getting into early Saturday morning across those areas. South of Bloomington will be standby in Scotland, Indiana at Taylor Township Volunteer Fire Department. Well, absolutely. South of Bloomington, right now in Bloomington, you're right along that line of an enhanced risk. So again, I would treat you as you're in a level 3 of 5, basically in the Bloomington area. This could still expand a little farther east, depending on the trends tomorrow morning. But yeah, Bloomington, Indiana, definitely be on high alert. A few tornadoes possible. We could also be seeing some widespread damaging winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, and potentially even a few large hail-producing storms there as well. Do you think will be? No, there's not gonna. I don't think there's gonna be a high risk upgrade tomorrow. Absolutely not. No, I don't think the storm's gonna warrant a high risk. As serious as the situation is for tomorrow's severe weather event, I do not think. I think there's an absolutely a 0% chance that they upgrade to a high risk tomorrow in any one location. That is my opinion. Hey, how's it looking for Nashville? Again, Nashville, Tennessee here. You are going to see the storms moving in probably during the evening hours here toward the overnight. Again, you're in the level 3 of 5, so widespread damaging winds over 60, 70 miles an hour, some large hail, and even a few tornadoes possible. The strongest tornadoes look to be west of Nashville. So if you get into western Tennessee here, Dyersburg down to Memphis, and even Jackson, Tennessee, those are the areas at the highest risk for potentially some strong, violent, and long track tornadoes through the evening hours and afternoon tomorrow. Anything in Northwest Ohio, I see marginal, but that deceived me when I saw forecasts. Northwest Ohio, you're pretty much you're in the marginal risk up there toward Toledo, the Lima area, getting down toward the Marion area up there. The storms will be on a weakening trend as they push east. This will be more of an unfavorable time of day for widespread severe weather, as this will be after midnight in these areas, but we still could be seeing some widespread damaging winds potentially as they move in, and then kind of weakening as they do so. So, yeah, we still could be seeing some 60, 70 mile an hour winds here across northwestern Ohio. Some large hail, maybe a spin up tornado, still a possibility. Andy's Lawn and Landscaping, thanks for joining. Could the moderate risk expand into Chicago? Could a high risk be issued for portions of northwest Illinois, eastern Iowa? Great question. Yes, I think the moderate risk, in my opinion, is probably actually going to be expanded tomorrow morning. So this is my thoughts. I think the moderate risk will kind of look a little bit here. I'll actually draw it a little bit more. This is my thoughts. I think the Storm Prediction Center will probably expand the moderate risk to look something like this as we go through tomorrow. So more of northern and central Illinois will probably be in that risk. Probably more so of the western suburbs of Chicago. I don't think downtown Chicago per se will be in the moderate risk. I think you'll remain in that enhanced risk area on Friday. And no, a high risk is not going to be issued tomorrow. I can say that with utmost certainty. I'm not expecting a high risk. Southern states right now, the areas at the highest risk for severe weather would be like north central Mississippi, so Tupelo down here over toward Greenville, Columbus, and then getting up toward like the Florence, Huntsville, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa areas there into northern, northwest Alabama. We could have some severe weather as far south as like northern Louisiana down here, maybe even down to central Mississippi. You know, the Meridian area, Jackson, Vicksburg, over here towards the Monroe, Shreveport area down I-20, back toward Longview, Tyler, Texas, Texarkana, even the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on up toward McKinney, Texas. We could still be seeing some decent rotating storms tomorrow, just the lower chance of that, of course, okay? So these areas will be on the southernmost side of the system. Are Georgia going to get any? Georgia may get some thunderstorms toward the Atlanta metro area, non-northwest, but this won't be until Saturday morning. So as they come in, again, an unfavorable time of day for widespread severe weather. The dynamics are a lot stronger up to the north and northwest, up in, say, the Ohio Valley and the Midwest. So I think basically what I'm looking at now is a weakening line of storms as they cross into northern portions of Georgia as we get towards sunrise or so by Saturday morning. Again, yeah, Rock Falls, Illinois. I've seen a couple questions for that. If you live in Sterling Rock Falls, you're in that moderate risk. You're in the level 4 or 5. Strong, long track, and potentially violent tornadoes is on the table there into Sterling Rock Falls, back to Clinton, Iowa, Davenport, Freeport, up there toward Galena, Dubuque, anywhere in northwest Illinois, even Dixon and the Sauk Valley region there. We could be seeing some strong, violent, long track tornadoes. EF2 are stronger in strength. We could have 70 to 90 mile per hour destructive winds tomorrow, and also some, giant hail. We could be seeing up to baseball size hailstones in the Sterling Rock Falls area as we go through. So you got all three hazards. You got potential of a violent long track tornado tomorrow. You have a chance of 70 to 90 mile per hour winds and up to baseball size hail in the Rock Falls region. So that is your threat going forward into tomorrow. Mainly afternoon and evening for you. I'm in a marginal risk for Saturday night, I believe. Yeah, Saturday is going to be more of a marginal risk here. If I change this over again, since we're talking about that real quick, I can change it over quickly to the Saturday risk. This is a much lower risk. The better dynamics are going to be moving into southeastern portions of Canada up here with the better speed maximum and the jet stream, but we still will have that lingering cold front moving across the eastern Carolinas, south central Georgia, near the Dothan area, for example, into southeastern Alabama, northern portions of Florida toward Tallahassee, Panama City, places like Jacksonville. Some of these storms could be severe, but probably more of a damaging wind and hail threat with those. A little bit more of some lift up here into, let's say, western Pennsylvania, western New York State, say from like Rochester to Buffalo, down to Pittsburgh, over here to Cleveland and Canton, into eastern and northeastern Ohio. We could be talking about a couple of rotating storms, but definitely nothing like we see on Friday. Okay, Friday is by far the biggest threat for severe storms that we have over the next couple of days. So that is what we're watching. Thank you for this channel. I'm in St. Helen, Michigan. Any chance of severe weather north of Saginaw, Michigan? Thank you so much. The Saginaw area. Let me find it here. The Saginaw, north of Saginaw, so like up there toward Bay City, Midland, you guys are not in the severe weather threat. Actually, the farther north you go, up I-75 there toward like Traverse City, northern lower Michigan, or even to the UP of Michigan, you're going to be into the general kind of like garden variety type thunderstorms, and probably actually in the snow zone up there, especially into the UP of Michigan, up toward Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, and then back toward the Houghton region, Duluth, Minnesota. You're going to be on the very far northern extent of that. So there could be some strong storms west of you in Saginaw, like toward Mount Pleasant, Lansing, Grand Rapids, but they also will be on a weakening trend as they move in. All right, so we're not seeing anything too bad there for the Saginaw or anywhere north of there. Is there any severe storms heading to the Conneaut, Ohio area. Well, if it's in western Ohio here, like anywhere basically along and west of the Columbus to Toledo area, down to Chillicothe, anywhere along and west of that line, so all of western and central Ohio essentially has a chance for a strong thunderstorm or two. This entire line, as it pushes to the east, again, will be more severe to the west here across Illinois and Indiana. So in these areas, we're most concerned. But as we move later on through the evening hours, as they push across eastern Indiana, southern portions of Michigan into west central Ohio, and eventually even portions of central Kentucky, these are going to be weakening. These are going to be weakening as they push in from the west. So still could be producing some damaging winds, some large hail, and maybe a brief spin up tornado or two along the leading edge of that line of storms. But mainly going to be just a heavy rainfall threat and just a lot of lightning with these storms. A little bit of energy still there. So we'll continue to watch that. You live in Chicago? Yeah, you're in an enhanced risk in Chicago. So anywhere in the suburbs of Chicago, Waukegan to Elgin, Evanston, Joliet, Aurora, Naperville, and then over here toward DeKalb, Illinois, or Northern Illinois University, those areas, you guys are in that level 3 of 5 enhanced risk. Again, a couple strong tornadoes, very destructive winds that could be up to 90 miles an hour in some of those areas, especially the west of I-39 into Northern Illinois. So from Rockford to LaSalle, Peru, down to Princeton there, and even the Peoria area on westward, that's the highest risk of up to 90-mile-per-hour winds on Friday afternoon and evening. And then those storms will push east into Indiana overnight. I went through storm spotter classes, but not this year. That's a good thing to do, definitely. Hey, I didn't mean to forget about you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for the $2 donation. Thank Jeffrey for the donation to the channel. Much appreciated. Again, I'm kind of working my way slowly down the list here of you have a lot of people asking of different things here about what they can expect. So trust me, guys, I will be getting to the timing of these storms here just in a little while. I'm just trying to get as many questions answered here as possible. All right, so let's see where we're at here. Again, if I don't mean to skip over your questions, I just refreshed the comments here, so I'm at the bottom now. So again, if you have any questions, re-ask it, but don't spam the chat. But definitely you can still ask. So like Kaz, please don't spam the chat, and don't keep putting the caps, guys. Caps don't work, honestly. If you're trying to get my attention, caps don't work. I'm just going down the list, and if you can ask your question, but try not to over ask too many times, okay? I appreciate it. Thank you so much again to Ashley Leith and Weather Watcher US and Canada for your modding tonight. Definitely much appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Will it be as bad by the Wisconsin state line in northeast Illinois? Yes, you're in the middle of that enhanced risk. So if you're up, say, the Janesville, Beloit, Monroe, Wisconsin area over there toward maybe like Kenosha, Racine, Wisconsin, those areas, you guys are still in that like slight to enhanced risk. So I expect widespread damaging winds over 70 miles an hour, again, potentially as high as 90 miles an hour in some of those areas, especially as you get toward Rockford and like Freeport. That's where we expect the real strong winds. And then maybe a couple of tornadoes, one or two of those could be strong, long track, or even violent. That could be over EF3 strength even. And then we could be seeing some large hail, with the heaviest of the hail probably right along the Mississippi River on west. So we'll continue to watch that as well as we get closer. Will there be a tornado watch tomorrow? I can't speak for what happens tomorrow. I do think with the enhanced and moderate risk area, I would be very surprised if it was just a normal tornado watch, to be honest with you. A lot of times when we get these moderate risk days with potentially strong tornadoes, we could have a PDS tornado watch, which is actually, if you guys don't know, that's the next level up. And all of tornado watches that are issued, only 2% of the time there is a PDS tornado watch, which means particularly dangerous situation tornado watch, which means strong, violent tornadoes and long track ones are more likely in those environments. So if you have a PDS tornado watch for your area tomorrow, do take it seriously. That is for sure. Michael, with the donation, $2. Thank you so much. Everybody give a round of applause to Michael as well. And Fort Wayne, Indiana area. Fort Wayne, Indiana, you are in a level 2 of 5. You're in the slight risk for severe weather. Again, storms will be weakening as they push into the Fort Wayne area, but still could be talking about some widespread damaging winds, potentially up to around 60, 70 miles an hour there. Some large hail around quarter, half dollar size probably, and even some, very heavy rain, frequent, very vivid lightning there, and maybe a spin-up tornado. That's what we can expect in the Fort Wayne area. Indianapolis, yes, Indianapolis, again, same thing, slight risk for severe weather, widespread damaging winds. Storms will slowly be on a weakening trend as they push from west to east. That's what we're seeing as well. Same impacts as Fort Wayne. A couple of tornadoes, 60 to 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's what we're seeing there. How is Green Bay, Wisconsin looking? We haven't talked about Wisconsin too much. Green Bay up here, you're on the far northern extent, so you're not in the severe weather risk currently. So like Appleton, down to Oshkosh, Fond du Lac, the Sheboygan area, and then over toward La Crosse, you guys are all in that marginal risk for severe weather. Just probably, I'd say, 20 miles south of Green Bay. So we're not talking about a significant severe weather threat in Green Bay. You're going to be on the northernmost extent, north of the warm front. So if anything, you might get some small to medium-sized hail that is sub-severe, but that's probably the extent of it there in Green Bay. Yes, I do think, again, Art Sai says PDS, particularly dangerous watch. Yes, that could be issued tomorrow, and actually I think that is likely to be issued tomorrow at some point across like eastern Iowa and northern Illinois. Maybe even far southern counties there of Wisconsin as well. So if you live in, like, say, Monroe or so here, let me go back into southwest Wisconsin. So if you live, say, in like maybe like Prairie du Chien to Platteville, and then over here to like Darlington, Monroe, Janesville, Delavan, maybe Whitewater, and then over toward Kenosha. I wouldn't be surprised there. Beloit included as well in Wisconsin. I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are under that watch, which could also, again, be a PDS tornado watch potentially tomorrow. I expect that to occur at some point. How do you know if it's PDS? Well, it's labeled in the watch. It would come out on your smartphone or whenever they release that. If they ended up warranting that watch here and issuing it from, say, if the National Weather Service in Davenport or the National Weather Service in Chicago or the Storm Prediction Center, whoever issues those watches, it will say in all caps PDS and then tornado watch issued, and then until what the expiration date is. It would be on your weather alert that you get on your phone, your tablet, your laptop, anywhere you get your alerts, that's where it would be at. It would say in there. Is there a chance Greenville, Tennessee gets upgraded to a marginal and slight risk? Well, let me see where Greenville, Tennessee is. I am not too familiar with the Greenville, Tennessee region. Let me look here. Looks like it's just to the south of I-81 there. No, the storms are gonna be weakening significantly. So like once they get over here into eastern Tennessee, so like the Knoxville region, and then over here toward the Greenville area, they're gonna be very weak. They probably still maybe hanging on to 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds, but they will weaken significantly as they push farther to the east there into, say, like eastern Tennessee. That's basically what we're seeing going ahead in towards. This is after midnight. This is probably even more so, and as it crosses into eastern Tennessee, like the Knoxville region over there into Greenville, maybe getting to about sunrise on Saturday morning. That's kind of what it looks like right now across those areas. So certainly a threat to watch. Still, even if you're in a marginal risk, it's still a threat to watch and take seriously. We'll again, I'll have a new video out for you in the morning. We'll continue to watch that for sure. We'll continue. All right. Yeah, tornado emergency is the worst. Hopefully we don't see any of those tomorrow. Yeah, basically it is. There have been PDS tornado watches and stuff like that, even PDS severe thunderstorm watches for the most extreme events. But I think with the tornado threat in play, it probably will not be a PDS severe thunderstorm watch. It would likely be a PDS tornado watch, which in that watch, they would label out the hazards of what they expect to occur in that watch, what the conditions are favorable for. So whether it's, whether it comes out and says PDS tornado watch or not tomorrow, if it's just a normal tornado watch, will be determined. But if it comes out and says either of those, they'll probably label what the hazards are, say 70 to 90-mile-an-hour winds or EF2 stronger tornadoes or up to baseball size hail or something like that. It would come out and say that in the description in the watch category tomorrow. What about Angola, Indiana? Thank you in advance. The Angola area. Let me look where Angola is here. Again, some of these smaller towns I'm not too familiar with, so let me just see here. Angola. And go, okay, so you're north of Fort Wayne. So you're in far northeastern. You're basically that little county right here that's right on the line between a slight risk in the yellow and a dark green, a marginal risk. So the storms will be weakening as they push in to your area there just north of Fort Wayne. So, but still, 60, 70-mile-an-hour winds is a possibility as we go in toward your Friday evening and Friday overnight. A couple spin up tornadoes, large hail, stuff like that, quarter size or larger. That's what you can expect in the Angola region. Yes, tornado emergencies are possible from the storms. And that's only possible if you have a strong, long track tornado on the ground. And it's usually they don't issue tornado emergencies unless it's moving into more of a populated area. So, say one of the bigger cities, like for example, when that tornado last week was moving through Rolling Fork and then Silver City and then Winona, that was a long track supercell that actually did produce, I think, a preliminary rating of an EF4 tornado down in the Rolling Fork area in Mississippi. And that one was tornado emergency for quite a long time, probably over an hour at one point, off and on. And it was a populated area. So that's why they did that. All right. How about Greenfield, Ohio? Greenfield, Ohio. Yep. Let me look here, see where Greenfield, Ohio is real quick. I'm not sure if I answered. I don't think I answered for Greenfield quite yet. Just give me 1 second here. So the Greenfield area, okay, so you're southwest of Columbus there. Yeah, you're basically very close to that slight risk area. So I would say basically just, again, a weakening trend. Just a few isolated damaging wind gusts, mostly sub-severe wind gusts though, but you still could be seeing up to 60, maybe 70 mile per hour wind gusts at the strongest as the storms push in. But the worst risk I think for you is probably the damaging winds, the hail versus tornadoes. The tornado risk would be a lot higher west into like Illinois, Iowa. But that is something to continue to watch. There still is a chance of a spin-up tornado there in Greenville or Greenfield, Ohio, but it's not a high risk there. So if a tornado does happen, what direction do you think it might go? And I'm talking about near the Davenport, Iowa area. Well, the storms will initiate back here into central Iowa. So again, we're going to show you the timing on this. I know I keep saying it, but I keep getting a bunch of questions here. I might have to stop doing the questions for a few minutes and then go over the timing of the storm so you guys understand this. But they'll kind of form kind of like a broken line, kind of like this. I'm just putting dashed lines in to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So these little kind of circles that I'm making is kind of just each individual supercell. So just imagine it's kind of supercellular like this. They're kind of more discrete, semi-discrete storms. They're going to have storm motions. We have a very strong mid-level jet coming in more like this from the southwest. So what the storm's tendency is going to be like is that, oh, whoops, I got rid of it. Is going to be like here. I'll circle these again. Imagine again, these are supercell storms here developing all across central and eastern Iowa. They're going to move more east northeasterly. So not really due east, but kind of more have a little bit of a northeasterly jog to them a little bit. So they could kind of be parallel a little bit to the river at times. So kind of if you're in like Davenport, they're going to kind of move more into like Whiteside County versus Henry County here. Or if they're in, say, Clinton County in Iowa, moving near Clinton, it will move into Carroll County rather than Whiteside County. So they're kind of going to be moving, in east-northeasterly direction more than due east. That's kind of the direction we're seeing. So if a tornado spun up, it would most likely be going from southwest to northeast. What do I think about Milwaukee? Slight or moderate? Milwaukee, you're in the slight risk, and you could be upgraded to an enhanced. We'll have to wait and see what the Storm Prediction Center does overnight. But either way, you're still in the severe weather risk up here in Milwaukee. So Milwaukee down there to Kenosha, Racine, Wisconsin, near Lake Michigan there. Widespread damaging winds is your biggest risk. You are near the warm front. I will tell you that. Anywhere in southern Wisconsin, even though you're not in this big red shaded color that's the highest of the risk so far, a level 4 or 5 down here, I really still think this area down across portions of southern Wisconsin up into central Wisconsin, that warm front's going to be up here. Any one of these storms that I was talking about, see these supercells I'm drawing back down here, kind of like that. If one of these storms decides to move more northeast and interact with that warm front, sure, we could be seeing a strong, violent, long track tornado into the Madison area or Janesville or Monroe or Prairie du Chien or over there maybe southwest of Milwaukee. That that is definitely still a possibility going through that afternoon and evening. Again, with the warm front, that's why we have That's why we have different wind directions with height, and so worried about a warm front a lot of the times because on the warm side of the warm front, you have the wind screaming in out of the south, but to the north of the warm front, they're coming off the lake here, so you got a lot of rolling motion right along that front, and that's why you see that a lot of times with those stronger tornadoes or just tornado genesis, if you will, along the warm front. Cape, convective available potential energy is pretty high in Illinois and Iowa. For this time of year, yes, it's about 2,000, pushing almost 3,000 joules per kilogram. And again, another thing to note, guys, anywhere in this area I'm circling, especially in the orange or the red down in here, if you have any sunshine tomorrow, that is not good news in any of these areas. That will actually add more fuel to the fire, so to speak, with the atmosphere tomorrow. And we really don't need that much instability. So the more energy, the more CAPE, what's called convective available potential energy, the more of those values grow tomorrow, the worse it will be, because already we have so much wind shear in the atmosphere that it really does not take a lot of energy to get these storms rocking and rolling. So they're going to be moving pretty quickly with the wind shear so strong. We got a very powerful mid-level jet over 100 knots. That's basically 115 miles an hour thereabout. So it's going to be pretty strong movement on those storms. I'm expecting storm movement tomorrow to be 50 to 70 miles per hour in that range, moving like highway speed. So whenever you get a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning tomorrow, they're going to be moving so quickly you will not have a lot of time to react. So that will be the concern moving forward. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for the $5 donation. Much appreciated. Again, everybody give Jeffrey a round of applause for the $5 donation. Again, thank you for supporting the channel. Definitely much appreciated. Conditions have to be absolutely ideal with strong instability and perfect timing. Yeah, again, for those higher end severe weather events, especially for those strong tornadoes, the conditions really do. They have to be right for strong tornadoes. Whether or not you're in the 4, the 3, and again, here's another thing I wanted to throw out there as well for you guys. Don't really focus on if you're in the red or the orange. If you're even in the remotely close to or into the orange, treat it like a moderate risk for severe weather. This is such an expansive severe weather threat, and that doesn't just go for up here to the north. I'm talking about down here in the mid-south as well. Don't get so caught up on if you're in the red shaded color or in the orange or yellow. If you're in the yellow or orange or higher, you have a real good shot of seeing severe weather, especially in the orange or red. But don't get caught up on if you're in a moderate risk or enhanced risk or anything like that, sometimes even a slight risk. Just you have a chance for severe weather, so treat it like you're going to see severe weather. Just be prepared. And again, if you have a tornado warning issued, go to the basement again, or if you don't have a basement, storm shelter. If you don't have that, go to the lowest, most interior room, say like a bathroom, for example. That's again, put as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible, and it could definitely help save your life. It really does. So does it count as being in the risk if I'm chasing? Yes, it does. Yeah, actually, probably more at risk, because if you're chasing storms, you're kind of out there in the elements outside, so you're probably more at risk than anybody. What about Springfield, Missouri, David King? You're on the easternmost extent of the slight risk, so you're very close to the enhanced. Again, don't get caught up on if you're in the yellow or the orange. I would just treat you as you're in the enhanced risk technically, even though you're technically in the slight risk 2 out of 5. But just treat it like you're going to see severe weather, and just be ready. Be weather aware tomorrow. Have all eyes to the sky, and again, have multiple ways to get watches, warnings on, say, a smartphone, tablet, laptop, on the TV with local meteorologists, the National Weather Service. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. So any sort of sunshine tomorrow is very bad for anything, right? Absolutely. Yeah, if there's any more sunshine here, I'm going to actually show this. I'm going to take this outlook out for you guys and kind of show you and go over this. And by the way, we already have severe weather over here into portions of northeastern Nebraska. This storm is actually producing some big hail, golf ball size hail, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And just an example, guys, look at the storm out in Nebraska moving northeast at 60 miles an hour right now. That will be the movement in which these storms will move tomorrow. So you're already getting the precursor out to the west already in Nebraska right now. So if let me zoom into Nebraska here. If you live in, say, This is mainly in open areas, but this is moving up toward the O'Neill region. Do watch out for some golf ball size hail toward O'Neill, Nebraska this evening if you live or have any family living in that area. Um, so what I was doing before is let me take this outlook out real quick and show you how much energy there is in the atmosphere already without sunshine. So this, we'll go over the HRRR model here, one of the more accurate short-term models. I'm not sure if it's fully loaded in enough. Not quite yet. So let's go back to the 18Z. Excuse me. Let's go to about Friday, 4 p.m. Here's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're going to go in here to the most unstable Cape, okay? And look at these values, okay? We're already seeing up to about 3,100 joules per kilogram. This is with cloud cover, guys, and there could be some filtered sunshine tomorrow. But any more sunshine in these areas that are in the lime green, especially yellows and oranges, will just add more fuel to the fire in this area. That is definitely concerning. That could add more energy in the atmosphere to what is already a volatile situation. Okay, so we really have to be on high alert here. And that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We go to 5 o'clock. Some of those values will be pushing even farther east. We're still hanging on to 25 to 100 to 3,000 joules per kilogram energy. That's moderate to borderline strong instability combined with strong shear. So whenever you have those higher parameter spaces, there's no surprise that if I switch this over to what we call the significant tornado parameter, that's why the values are so high up here. Look at the values. We're at 3s. This chart goes to a 10. So we already have a 30% chance of a tornado that could be significant in some of these areas. That's into 5 o'clock. As we go even farther, so say to like 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock rather, you can see that there's a couple values showing up here around 8s, 9s. And remember, the chart goes to a 10. So that essentially means there's going to be some strong rotation in the environment tomorrow where this model is saying there's a 90% chance of a strong tornado in portions of western Illinois and northern Illinois tomorrow. And anyone in a 50-mile radius outside of that area is definitely at risk. So that is what this model is showing. Again, this is the 18Z run. We're still waiting on the new 0Z run. That's just the models run on Z time. So we're just kind of waiting for the new data to come in this evening. Thank you, Layla, for your $5 donation. Much appreciated. Hey, Weather on the Go fam, stay safe, everyone. Absolutely. You stay safe as well, Layla. Thanks for the $5 donation. Everybody, give Layla a good round of applause in the live stream chat. Thank you. And just general, it's the supercell composite. This takes all of the wind shear, the CAPE or convective available potential energy, the dew points, the temperatures, everything into account and makes up what we call a supercell composite. It's just a composite of multiple parameters. And you can see supercells will be a big deal. Even if we have a line of storms up here, I will expect to see supercells embedded within the line of storms itself as it races off to the east-northeast up here and produces some what looks to be destructive winds, potentially as high as 90 miles per hour going through that evening commute there towards like the western suburbs of Chicago, all in north central Illinois. Very high impact event here is looking likely. Very much so. Again, press that thumbs up button if you're here. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Again, a new video will be out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. I'll have an update for you guys on this. Let's go to what the HRRR model is showing. Let's show you the timing now. It's been a long time since we talked about that. Let's go to the timing. All right, so let's take this back to about, say, in the morning hours here. Okay, this is 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday. You see a lot of storms over here into portions of, say, the Ohio Valley. These will likely not be severe, but we still could be seeing some P, dime, nickel size hail, maybe some brief strong wind gusts and some like special weather statements and stuff like that. Not that big of a deal. And then you see it's not too bad up here into Iowa, northern portions of Missouri, northwest Illinois. But as we go through the 11 o'clock time frame, we're starting to see a couple storms pop up. We have what we call warm air advection. We're seeing those dew points rise. We're seeing that warm front surge up toward the north up here, and we're going to see some storms popping up near the Iowa-Missouri border as early as 11, 12 o'clock tomorrow. These are going to start to expand in coverage. These could be producing potentially some large hail as they push up into the Davenport Quad Cities. This is the first round of storms that moves through by midday, and these could be posing a risk for maybe up to golf ball size hail, a couple of brief spin up tornadoes, or maybe even some 60, 70 mile per hour winds already there by the midday hours. But likely these storms will be elevated, so we're probably not seeing any surface rooted storms as we go through that time frame. So what I mean is we're probably not seeing that big of a tornado or damaging wind risk, mainly just some elevated hail type of storms up here toward Davenport and even toward the Mississippi River in eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois by early afternoon. By 3 o'clock, those storms will be continuing to push up to the north. That's, again, right along a warm front and ahead of a warm front there, pushing to the north. They could be posing a risk for very heavy rain. Also some, large hail up there toward Rockford, Illinois, Madison, Milwaukee, Prairie du Chien. Watch out for some, a couple of isolated severe thunderstorms here. They won't be that big of a deal, I don't think. Mainly just some hail producing storms at the most part. But I want to turn your attention to about 4 o'clock or in the afternoon, 3, 4 o'clock. This is the area of highest concern, and this is the area why they have that moderate and even enhanced risk. Look back here. We got the low pressure system spinning back into northwestern or northern Iowa. We got the cold front kind of occluding and kind of down like that. We got the warm front starting to lift northward. So all of this area here is deep into the warm sector, and we're seeing all that moisture advecting all the way up to the north. And right along that cold front here, we're going to watch some of these supercell thunderstorms, individualized supercells start to develop. These could pose a risk for widespread damaging winds and also the threat for some strong long track tornadoes. A violent tornado is possible with these initial storms there just near and east of Des Moines towards Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, west of the Quad Cities there by 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock, a couple of those storms. Now, this is new information here from earlier on with this. A model actually showed a couple discrete storms out of the head of the main line. Those could be concerning for potentially some rotating storms and some violent tornadoes ahead of the main show here by 5 o'clock. Then as we get towards, say, the 7 o'clock time frame, these storms will really start to organize. A very nasty squall line will push in. So we're talking 6, 7 o'clock here into southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois here. These will be pushing east. A significant destructive winds with these storms. We could probably have a lot of these considerable destructive severe thunderstorm warning tags on these storms, probably 70, 80, if not 90 mile per hour winds, very large hail, and maybe some spin-up tornadoes that could be up to EF2, EF3 strength potentially on the leading edge of that system. Farther south, so let's kind of take away the timing a little bit and kind of start over here down across the south. Let's go back to about the 10 o'clock in the morning time frame. You see down here in the mid-south, we got nothing much going on down here for the most part around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Just some scattered showers and storms. Those likely will not be severe. The noon time frame, here's what we're watching. Back into western and northwest Arkansas, that cold front is just beginning to move into those areas with the warm and humid air. And as it surges to the east into that warm, moist, and humid air, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have to watch these storms. Southern and southeastern Missouri through the Little Rock region down into northeast Texas. These ones could pose a risk for some violent tornadoes, very strong winds. We could be seeing 75 plus mile per hour winds here. And of course, some very large hail is definitely a possibility moving into places like Little Rock, Rogers down here in towards Arkansas, and then pushing towards Jonesboro and the Pine Bluff area there, and even towards Memphis toward the late afternoon. This is about 5 o'clock, again, knocking on the doorstep of Memphis. And you see how this model here, the HRRR, is not too sold on a solid line of storms. You see kind of these individual cells, semi-discrete or discrete supercells. That is very concerning for each one of those. That could be producing some strong and violent tornadoes that could go for a long distance. So that is something to watch. We also have to watch prefrontal storms. So even we could have some isolated supercells out ahead of the main line here in like Memphis, Jackson, Tennessee, up toward Clarksville, Paducah. We got to watch those areas as well. toward about 5, 6 o'clock tomorrow afternoon and evening. 7 o'clock, so we're getting some storms, prefrontal storms here in the middle Tennessee. So Nashville, you could start to see some nasty storms for your area as well. That will be something to watch. That could be concerning for you. And then the main show will be moving into, say, Jackson, down towards Memphis, Tennessee, down into the Greenville area there into Mississippi. Even some storms firing back even as far southwest as like the Shreveport area, down into Pine Bluff, and even toward Tyler, Texas, College Station down here in northwest of Houston. These storms could pose a risk for very large hail. They have the instability reservoir is a little bit stronger down here closer to the Gulf of Mexico, and you also have the wind shear still there as well. So we could have some large hail, maybe a spin up tornado down here towards Shreveport as well, and even some damaging winds up around 60, 70 miles per hour. So that will be the concern across those areas getting in towards that 6, 7 o'clock time frame tomorrow evening. Then as we get toward the late evening hours, this is about 10 o'clock. Again, you see, I'll zoom it out, just kind of have a one or two solid lines of storms. So this is going to transition to more of a heavy rainfall threat here as the system occludes. You can see kind of it takes a comma shape here. It's going to be pushing all of this strong weather to the east. There's a lot of forcing with this storm. So there are going to be a lot of damaging wind reports with this. There's going to be a lot of hail reports and probably, unfortunately, a lot of tornado reports. I am afraid through tomorrow. So we will continue to watch that as well. Then here's the interesting part. Let me change this back over to the precipitation type here. So we got all the heavy snow up toward the Minneapolis-St. Paul region, Eau Claire, Wisconsin, up here toward Duluth, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Sioux Falls. This snowfall and cold air will be wrapping around on the backside of this system. So areas that have seen, saw severe weather Friday, as we go into early, say, Saturday morning, we're going to start to see some snow on the backside. So not only will we have a chance of some significant severe weather in this area, there could be some snowflakes flying around by Saturday morning in those exact same areas as this very dynamic system pulls in colder air, and we could see maybe a dusting to an inch of snow into eastern Iowa and northeast Iowa there toward the Friday or the Saturday morning commute. And this is getting into about 7 a.m. there. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We could be seeing some snow into Madison here, where just, several hours ago and Friday, you could have had damaging winds or tornadoes. So very dynamic storm system shaping up here across the Midwest. And another thing I wanted to note is that the gradient winds on the backside of this system is going to be strong. So what we call non-thunderstorm winds. There's going to be a lot of very strong wind energy on the backside of this system here. And let me show you the wind gusts. You see how this wraps around the backside. Waking up Saturday morning on April Fool's, well, I'm not fooling you. There's going to be a lot of strong winds back here across the western Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the lower Midwest. We could be seeing wind gusts over 40, if not over 50 miles per hour in places like Iowa, Wisconsin, southern Minnesota there. Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, lower Michigan here, maybe even in the UP of Michigan as well, and then down into portions of Ohio. So a large area here for some very strong gradient winds as we go through that early Saturday morning time frame. So watch out for that. So if you have any loose objects outside that can get blown around, whether or not you're in the severe weather risk or not, just bring those in and they won't be blown around. So unfortunately, if you guys have garbage day out here on Saturday, probably will not be that great of a day for having the garbage out across Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, places like that. So I just wanted to make you aware that even behind this whole system, there's going to be some strong wind gusts here that could be up to around 40, 50 miles an hour with those gusts, with sustained winds probably between 20 and 30 miles an hour, a lot of these areas going into Saturday morning. That's with the pressure gradient and what we call pressure falls on the backside of the system as the cooler air moves in. If Reed is in your neighborhood, you're in trouble. Absolutely. I think he's staging into Iowa and Illinois. That's the last time I think he posted on Twitter that he's staging there in Iowa, Illinois. I believe so. But I could be wrong. He could be down in Arkansas as well. Reed came through Louisiana recently and tornadoes were falling out of the sky around him. Thankfully, he stayed south of me. Yeah, there you go. Whenever you see Jim Cantori or Reed Timmer, that's when you know there's going to be some interesting extreme weather around your area. Absolutely. All right. And then, guys, I did want to note too, since we talked about the timing of the storms and all that, just when you think we get a break, well, think again. We got another big system coming in as we go in toward early next week as well. And this one is already looking concerning. Now, we're going to take it one system at a time, but I did also want to put on your radar too that there's another threat of severe weather returning into the middle of the country early next week. And we're going to have a system moving in toward the Pacific Northwest as early as Sunday. And this, again, we're going to have a lot of this warm air. We're going to have southerly flow start to return ahead of this system as well. As it dives down, the trough's going to kind of dive down something like this. It's going to be moving south and east here towards Texas as we get toward the early portion of next week. And this is going to be another concerning system because if I turn over to the dew points here, we're already starting to see at least some modest dew points recovery down here with some moisture into portions East Texas, Oklahoma, the Arklatex region as early as Sunday. This is on April 2nd. This is Sunday evening, and that's what we're seeing down here. And then as we go forward here, let's track our dew points going all the way through, say, 1 o'clock. So this is Monday, and look at the dew points. We're starting to see those greens moving up into portions of the lower Missouri Valley, Ohio Valley. Those are the dew points returning to the 40s and 50s. Deeper moisture down still into the Arklatex region, probably dew points in these areas into the 60s. Dew points up farther to the north, probably into the 50s up here into this area. So that is kind of what we're watching moving in towards early next week on Monday. And then as we go into Tuesday, now this gets very interesting. Let's turn it back over to temperatures real quick because this is important. So going into Tuesday time frame here, this is on the 4th of April, and look at the big surge in our warm front. The system's starting to wrap up here into portions of the central plains. We got the dry line cold front back here. We got the warm front extending out from the low all the way around the system, and look at the deep warm sector this system has out here across the Missouri Valley, the southern and central plains, the Tennessee Valley, the Arklatex, the deep south, all these areas, the southeast, as we go through that Tuesday time frame. And then that warm front will continue to slowly lift up there toward the north as we go through the day on Tuesday. And the GFS model seeing that warm front actually reaches parts of northern Illinois by the evening on Tuesday. So this is concerning for potentially a widespread severe weather event, especially when turning over to the dew points. Look at the moisture reservoir on Tuesday next week. With that warm front reaching parts of northern Illinois, we got that very strong dry line and cold front here. There's a lot of energy sitting out here into portions of the southeast, the Missouri Valley, the Arklatex, and Tennessee Valley here. So there's a lot of moisture moving into these areas. And if we turn over to what we call CAPE, the surface CAPE values are going to be pretty strong, almost, pretty strong for this time of year. We're already seeing some values of 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram on up into this area here. And that is already the area the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted for severe weather. Another aspect of this, you have to see the mid-level jet. Look at the strong jet streak coming out here. Almost, I wouldn't say historic, but it looks almost, the pattern that we're in is more of a once-in-a-decade type of weather pattern right now. We have a very strong trough here across portions of the Southwest, and you can see this is a very strong plunge in our mid-level jet, and it's going to be absolutely a behemoth moving through the middle of the country as we get into early next week. The European model is actually more aggressive on this. And going forward to the 5th, look at our jet streak out here, guys. This could be interesting going into next week. So look at the very fast motion in the winds here. With that, all the cold air dropping south toward here. We got all the warm air preceding that. This is going to be, again, could be deja vu all over again going into next week. So spring is here, guys. Spring is here. This is what we've been looking for. We've been warning you guys back in the winter months that this spring is looking active, and I don't think it stops here. I think we have, there will be some lulls along the way through spring. I do have high confidence in that. But when we are not in the lulls for severe weather, they will be active events. So I think April and May looks to be pretty active as well, especially May again. I think May is going to be another very active month. We'll have to wait. April's kind of a wide wild card. I know to end March here and go into early April looks very active. I'm thinking still a little bit of a lull in the action sometime in the middle of April, and then a return late April into May for again another big chance for severe weather all the way across the middle of the country again. So that's kind of a little bit of a longer range thought for you guys to think about as we move forward. And even looking at the 850 millibar winds, I mean, we could have some very heavy snow. Let me show you this as well. Look at the snowfall here up to the north. Let me go back to Tuesday morning, and we're seeing some, heavy snow up here across the northern Minnesota there, the Arrowhead of Minnesota, Winnipeg, into portions of southeastern Manitoba here, central portions of Ontario, the eastern portions there of the Dakotas. That's kind of what we're seeing there as well. So there's a lot of snowfall there, a lot of wind. So there's potentially a major blizzard on the way up here across portions of the northern plains and upper Midwest. And some of the snowfall in these areas are what we're getting this week. We're going to be adding more snowfall up across a lot of these areas moving forward. So thank you so much, Kaw, for your $20 donation. Much appreciated. Everybody give Kaw a round of applause in the live chat stream. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all your donations, especially you, Kaw. Thank you for the $20 donation. Much appreciated. Very generous. Thank you for this detailed update. I appreciate it. Family in Memphis, Nashville, and Woodridge. Yeah, all you guys in the Nashville, Memphis, and Woodridge area, you're all in the risk for severe weather. And actually in the higher end chance for severe weather, all in those areas. Memphis is in the moderate risk. Nashville, you're in the enhanced risk. And I believe Woodridge, you're in the enhanced risk as well in Illinois. So definitely a very interesting setup for you there. And we could, again, deja vu all over again, potentially next week. When will my severe weather season start? I'm not sure exactly where you're at, so couldn't tell you. The severe weather season has already started for the most part for a lot of people here this week. So if it's not active for your area, we'll be here pretty soon. Here, so let me put back on the radar here, and let's kind of zoom into the storm. We actually have an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning here. Let's track this real quick. Let me see if this radar is better. All right, we got a storm here. This storm is moving to the northeast. While we're on here, we have it approaching the O'Neill area. This is producing some pretty big hail here. Ping pong ball size hail. Earlier on was capable of producing golf ball size hail. And this is moving very quickly to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. So ping pong ball size hail, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, 27 miles northeast of Burwell or 10 miles south of Chambers. That's where that storm is located. So Ewing, Chambers, Cumminsville, Four Corners, Buffalo Flats, the Goose Lake State Wildlife Management Area, and Gables. All these areas into northeastern Nebraska. Just heed the warning here. This also includes anyone along Highway 281 between mile markers 149 and 180. So if you're traveling out there, just watch out for the storm as it moves closer. This is all into northeastern Nebraska. This is kind of the precursor, the calm before the storm as we get through tomorrow. Absolutely. All righty. Yeah, there's a lot of wind energy coming in for tomorrow. So again, don't be surprised if you have any severe weather tomorrow. A lot of areas will be impacted. That is for sure. And again, you guys are still on the live stream. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below, and also press the thumbs up button. Let's try to get to at least 200 thumbs up or likes on this live stream here. I know you guys can press that like button. We're only about 11 people away from 200 on here. And again, my Twitter page is down below in the description or on the screen, so you can follow me at hweather420. Be posting daily updates throughout the event with retweeting pictures, videos, storm reports, all the whole 9 yards there as we go through Friday, so you guys can stay ahead of the storm. And again, I absolutely appreciate all the new subscribers out there. We are quickly approaching 26,300 subscribers. My goal ultimately is 30,000 by the end of April, so definitely it'd be a good goal to have. So I appreciate it. And if you guys haven't watched my video from today, go down below in the description. You can see today's weather forecast, my spring forecast for 2023, which is still valid through May, and then my educational video on derate shows. Definitely a good video to watch. As for tornadoes, you do not want Reed Timmer or Brad Arnold in your area. It seems they know where the tornadoes are. Yep, they storm chase tornadoes. Absolutely. Like I said, I think Reed Timmer is stationed. He's staging in eastern Iowa and northwest Illinois on Friday. Where's Reed and Brad going? Well, I know Reed. I think Reed is going into eastern Iowa and northwest Illinois, up toward like the Davenport or Cedar Rapids area. I think tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, at least on his Twitter page. That's where I think he said he was going. And again, right now we're kind of tracking a severe thunderstorm producing some ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, mainly over some open areas here, thankfully, in northeast Nebraska. But these are still posing a risk for hail. This is pushing up towards Highway 20 into northeastern Nebraska and up toward the O'Neill region. And this is rapidly moving to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. So let's see. We can put maybe let's see if we can put a storm tracker on this real quick for anybody that's out here. Actually, let me move this farther up the screen here. So there we go. Do that, and then so here's the areas that are impacted. If you live in Stafford, Nebraska, this is in about 4 minutes. Page in 10 minutes. Venus, Nebraska in 16 minutes. Walnut, Nebraska in 23 minutes. Star, Nebraska in 24 minutes there. And then if you live in the Knoxville or Jaleen area or Jaleen or even the Vertiger area, this is in about 30 minutes for your area. So expect some ping pong ball, maybe even some golf ball size hail there. And also some 60-mile-per-hour winds with this storm as it rapidly moves to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. Again, this is just a precursor to tomorrow. Again, these supercells are moving already very quick here in Nebraska, 60 miles an hour. So you can tell if this is moving 60 miles an hour today, you know the storms tomorrow are going to be racing to the east as well, or at least to the northeast. We had a derecho in 2015. There's been a lot of derechos. The strongest one I remember is in Iowa, August 10th of 2020. That was the Midwest derecho. That produced up to, I think, 120 or 140 mile per hour straight line winds or something like that in like the Cedar Rapids or Iowa City area. Very devastating to the corn crops up there, and definitely a lot of wind damage, for sure, for sure. Whoops, did not want to do that either. But again, farther south here, the expectation was for storms potentially that were conditional upon developing across Oklahoma and Texas. I'll show you today's severe weather outlook down here. There's a marginal risk still across portions of like Tulsa, Oklahoma City, especially East Oklahoma City, toward like Shawnee, Oklahoma, Joplin, Missouri, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, down towards the northern side of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, so like McKinney, Sherman, Texas, toward the Red River there, into southeastern Oklahoma, and then just west-northwest of Texarkana, there's a threat for at least a marginal risk for severe storms today up there. And there was a chance for tornadoes. But again, that is very conditional. The models weren't very excited on those storms popping up because we have a cap on the atmosphere, a capping inversion, which suppresses clouds from. Whenever you have a capping inversion, it's a very shallow, sometimes deep. It depends on how strong the cap is. Layer aloft. And if you can't break through that, you ain't going to get storms because you need tall thunderstorm updrafts to get in the big cumulonimbus clouds to get thunderstorms. And when you don't have a lot of rising motion because the cap stops the clouds from growing and creating those big, tall 40, 50, 60,000 foot thunderstorm tops, then you're not going to see any big severe weather down here. So that's what's going on here. And again, it all has to do with the drought out here as well, into Oklahoma and portions of, say, West Texas, the Panhandle of Texas, Western Kansas especially. There's like a severe, extreme, and exceptional drought still in those areas. So that is why, particularly in like this area, why when the storms move east, they still have struggling times to develop because there's just not a lot of support. We have the moisture, but all this is what's called an EML, an elevated mix layer, and as it pushes over that area, it's really just kind of puts a steel wall on the atmosphere. Um, Almost like bedrock. You just can't push around bedrock, and that's kind of what some of these storms are trying to do. But we may have some showers, maybe a few storms develop toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and on north toward Tulsa in the morning, in like Fort Smith area, but they're going to be even by then, the capping inversion is still going to be there. It's going to be rough to try and get any storms to form still at that time. Is Illinois on the risk for tornadoes? Yes, northern Illinois in particular here. I'll show you the tornado risk for tomorrow in Illinois. This is the area at risk for tornadoes. The entire state of Illinois is at risk tomorrow. Okay, the entire state of Illinois, Arkansas, Indiana, you guys are all the entire state of those three states. So Illinois, Arkansas, Indiana, all three of those states, the entirety of the state is in a risk of some sort of a tornado. But the highest chances of strong tornadoes tomorrow are across western, northwest Illinois, west of I-39 there from Rockford to Peoria on west, or Rockford to Bloomington Normal on west, and then the highest chance in the red shaded hatched area here, which is a 30 or a 15% chance for tornadoes here, which could be potentially violent long tracks. So we'll continue to watch that tomorrow as well. And again, I'll have a new video out there for you guys tomorrow regarding this threat. And we even have a 15% shading for tornadoes farther south in this area towards Jonesboro, northeast of Little Rock, even though Little Rock's in that 10% hatched risk there, still a strong tornado chance there. But the higher chances of strong tornadoes will be like Jonesboro on up towards Cape Girardeau or just south of there, Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Dyersburg, all those areas there. That's a 15% chance for some tornadoes in that area. So this is again all for Friday. And anywhere you see the brown or green, that's where we can expect at least a chance for any type of tornado to spin up, whether it's a weak tornado or not. There is a chance in any area you see outlined in green, brown, yellow, or red, with obviously the hatched areas having the best chance of seeing strong long track tornadoes. That could be EF2 or stronger in strength. All right. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, it's going to wrap it up for this evening. Again, we have a moderate risk in two areas. We have a bimodal severe weather outbreak tomorrow. Just be safe. I will be putting on a new video for you guys tomorrow morning, so be sure to go like the video up by pressing the thumbs up button. Again, if you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, definitely be sure to subscribe down below, and you can follow me on Twitter at hweather420. Again, go watch today's video. You can go check that out for some of the updated information we have as well. And I'll be posting a new video tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So again, subscribe to the channel if you have not yet already. Like this live stream, like all my videos and stuff, and I'll have a new video update for you guys all tomorrow morning. And we'll also be focusing on in the video as our next storm system and potential outbreak for severe weather as we move into early next week, as the Storm Prediction Center already has a 15 to even 30% or greater probability of severe weather going already 6 days out here towards next week. So a very interesting setup going into next week. All right, guys, that will do it tonight. Again, we are tracking a storm up here. It does look like the storm up in towards northeastern Nebraska has gone below severe limits. We still have a special weather statement on this. This is mainly for winds in excess of 40 miles per hour and some penny size like the pocket change hail, but it is still racing to the northeast here at 60 miles an hour. So the Ewing area, Page, Inman, and Dorsey here into northeastern Nebraska, be ready for the storm. This is Highway 20 between mile markers 312 and 328, and Highway 281 between mile markers 169 and 175. All right, so seek shelter from these storms, and we'll see if we have severe weather breakout and storms down here into the southern plains by early morning. We will be seeing some severe weather toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. getting into southeast Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, into those areas by morning time. Otherwise, staying quiet across those areas, and we'll be gearing up for a significant tornado outbreak moving in through the day on Friday. Again, be careful, everybody. Have multiple ways to receive warnings, whether it's on a NOAA weather radio, which is the best option, a smartphone, tablet, laptop, local TV stations have multiple ways to receive warnings. You won't have a lot of time to react tomorrow. The storms will be moving very quickly. Like I said, between 50 and 70 mile per hour movement with all the wind energy in the atmosphere. So if you get a tornado warning, take cover immediately, or even a severe thunderstorm warning, take cover immediately. They are going to be moving quickly. And if we have tornadoes or even strong tornadoes on the ground, they will be moving very fast. Okay, so do heed the warning as fast as you can as soon as you get it. All right, so take shelter in a basement, storm shelter. If you don't have that, a most interior room like a bathroom or something like that, put a mattress over your head. If you have a bicycle helmet, a football helmet, motorcycle helmet, anything that helps protect your head definitely goes a long way in protecting your life basically with these tornado events. So hopefully we don't see any violent tornadoes tomorrow, but if we do, again, that is the threat across especially the areas there into northwest Illinois, eastern Iowa, northeast Missouri, and then the other area especially into northeast Arkansas, far southeastern Missouri, far western Kentucky and Tennessee, and then northwestern portions of Mississippi. All right, and those moderate risk areas. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining this evening with severe weather coverage. Definitely appreciate it. I may be going live tomorrow, so if I go live tomorrow, I will be live in the afternoon and evening. If I do go live, I do live in northern Illinois, so I might not go live because I'm in that moderate risk for severe weather, and I'm also in a dangerous situation where I'm living as well. So, again, if you live in southwestern Wisconsin as well, you're very close to this moderate risk. So if you live in Prairie du Chien, over here to say Dodgeville, Richland Center, down to Platteville, Madison, Janesville, I still want you guys to be on high alert as well because you're in that level 3 out of 5, and we could be talking about still some violent tornadoes here, potentially, or at least some damaging straight line winds on up into southwestern and southern Wisconsin near the warm front as we head through Friday afternoon and evening. All right, guys. We'll see what the Storm Prediction Center does tomorrow with the update. This will come out at 1 a.m. I will be retweeting that on Twitter around 1 a.m. when that outlook is out, so you guys can check that out as well. Melissa Smith, thanks, Weather on the Go. You're welcome. Tim Key, thanks, Weather on the Go. You're welcome as well, Tim Key. Stay safe out there, guys. And again, be smart out there. Take shelter immediately if you have a tornado warning or severe thunderstorm warning. And again, that will save your life. All right, guys. Have a safe and happy rest of your Thursday and Friday out there, everybody. See you soon.